Hello class, today I'm doing my announcements by way of video instead of by way of text. The reason is I thought I would show you what it is that I'm expecting for the ALA 1 assignment in particular that's due on Tuesday. If that was just a surprise to you, make sure that you familiarize yourself with the class schedule. Class schedule over on the right has a column that lists all the due dates for graded work for the semester, and over here we have ALA 1 is due Tuesday, January 31st. So now that we are aware of that, as a student, the first thing I would do would be to look at the grading rubric for the assignment. Clicking on ALAs for the grading rubrics, I'm noticing that this active learning activity, or ALA, is a written work / discussion assignment. Alright, since it's discussion, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to reply to a couple of classmates. And scrolling down, so read all of this, but I'm just going over this quickly with you. Scrolling down, we have a list of criteria that ranges from excellent to good or passing work, and then we also have the range from a D all the way down to 0 points possible. I would try to avoid this column over here of poor work and focus your attention over here on how it is that I'm going to be grading work and what I consider to be excellent work. So I have listed here 3 categories with criteria under each of those categories for accuracy, college level writing, and also critical thinking. Read those criteria carefully. So it's all listed there for you. If you have any questions, as you know, as always, go to the Cyber Cafe and I will answer you there. Scrolling down, let me make this just a little bit smaller because there we go. Alright, so scrolling down, I'm going to find the ALA 1 assignment under week 2. Looking on ALA 1, I notice a brief description of the assignment, outcomes, which is essentially what is it that the student is expected to get out of this assignment? What is it that they're expected to be able to show me they can do as a result of engaging in this assignment? This assignment is not just assessment in terms of your understanding, it is also a learning tool. Here are some brief instructions, essentially how it is that you're to get started and how it is that you post to the forum here. And below that are your assigned questions that you are to answer in your post. I've assigned 6 questions, so make sure that you answer 6 questions and you answer 6 questions thoroughly. Let's see. Again, any questions about anything, please post to the Cyber Cafe. What I wanted to show you is where you need to focus in terms of how do I focus, what do I know what's relevant for this assignment. What's relevant for this assignment are modules 1 and 2, also module 3, your lecture on research methods in psychology, ethics in research, and what it means for a result to be statistically significant. Those are the most relevant for this assignment. I specifically want to draw your attention to slide 17 in the research methods lecture. This gives you an experimental design hint. This is a very straightforward, useful design that I would like to see in your ALAs. Double hint. Okay, so use this slide well, and keep in mind, again, this is a very straightforward, very simple assignment. A simple experiment that you're designing and or another. Come here, Scout. I'm over at my friend's house and their dog's visiting right now. Hi, baby. Are you on camera? Say hi. All right. Let me see if I can edit that out. All right. Sit down. Sit. Good girl. Lie down. Thank you. All right. Where was I? Okay. So if I were to keep that in mind, I'm going to keep this very simple. I'm doing an experiment, not a correlation. What I want to make sure, the big difference here is that with an experiment, I am in full control of my environment. I'm in full control of my variables. I manipulate them to see if there's a cause and effect relationship. So let's say, for instance, that I'm wondering whether ginkgo biloba does in fact improve memory as has been claimed. What I would do then is I would choose participants for my study that are randomly chosen, let's just say from ARC college students, since I have access to all of you. So randomly assigned to my study, all volunteers, of course, we're making this ethical, randomly assigned to my study. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these participants, these college students, a pre-test, which is going to be a type of memory test. And then I'm going to randomly assign my participants to an experimental group or a comparison group. So first thing, pre-test. Next thing, experimental group versus comparison group. Because they're randomly assigned to these groups, there should be no difference in terms of the average scores on the memory test. Next, I'm going to give the experimental group the treatment. The treatment is ginkgo biloba. The control group, which exists for the purpose of comparison, is not given any ginkgo biloba. They're not given anything that can affect memory. So then I'm going to, after they've been given the ginkgo biloba, then I'm going to give them a post-test. This is going to be a different memory test, but equivalent. Difference because we don't want them to have memorized the earlier answers, right? We want to give them new questions, but ones that are equivalent to the previous ones. All right. Then I'm going to give them the post-test. Now, if there is a significant difference between their post-test scores between groups, between the post-test scores of the experimental group versus the control group that did not exist previously when they were given the pretest, aha, we have a cause and effect relationship. Okay, because I've controlled the environment, we've done this in a laboratory, for instance, because I've manipulated and controlled the variables, because there have been no other factors that could intervene, and because I have essentially isolated that variable and tested it, I can say with confidence that, in fact, I have a cause and effect relationship with regards to the ginkgo biloba and the memory. Again, if that's what my results show. So that's all you're doing for this design and experiment. You're not going to run an experiment. You're not going to know what your experiment will show. You're going to make a hypothesis. You're going to make a prediction, but you don't know what the experiment will actually show because you're not running an experiment. All right, a few warnings. Keep it simple. As I stated earlier, this is not overly complicated. This is really straightforward. Don't make it harder than it is. Lastly, but definitely not least, this is the biggest issue. Students often make the mistake of presenting a correlation study, a study that would be better used in terms of correlation rather than an experiment. So keep in mind, experiments, this is Module 3, this is your research methods lecture. You should know this at this point. If you don't, review. Correlations do not determine cause and effect. Only experiments determine cause and effect because of manipulation and control. So, for instance, if you wanted to find out whether spanking was related to drug use earlier and later in life, spanking as a child is related to drug use later in life. If you wanted to do something like that, that's a correlation study that you do by way of survey. For instance, you cannot conduct an experiment on that because you cannot randomly assign children to be spanked or not spanked, fully expecting some of them to become drug users when they're older. Okay, so I hope that's clear. That would be a huge, egregious ethical violation. If you have questions, please post to the Cyber Cafe, and I will gladly help you there. Thanks.